I'm Jason.
And I'm Jules.
And
we doing filmographies.
Tonight we're covering
Women and Men 2.
Sounds good to me.
In Love, There Are No Rules.
Ooh, I forgot about that. Isn't it about breaking the rules? No, it's just In Love, There Are No Rules?
Yeah. This movie should have been called Men Who Deal with Women with Problems, as written by men.
That sounds good.
The best part about this movie is that it's actually fairly short. But in that brevity, there's no resolution, no anything.
Yeah.
No satisfying anything.
Julian over here watched the whole thing. I was in a time crunch, and I didn't want to make my girlfriend watch all three stories, and we just wanted the Liotta one, so we just watched that.
And nothing wrong with that, because I mean, it is something wrong with that, but
just watching the one, because they're isolated stories, right? It makes sense to skip it, even though in theory we'd like to watch the whole thing. Here's our synopses. 3 short stories about women and men relationships. The first about a successful boxer in New York City, whose wife only wants to return to her hometown in Kansas. The second about a man who has to take care of his wife and children because the woman is an alcoholic. The third is about a brief but tortuous. It says tortuous in here, but I think it's supposed to be torturous encounter between the writer Henry Miller and a prostitute in Paris.
So it is supposed to be Henry Miller.
I guess.
So this Women and Men 2 has no Rotten Tomato review scores.
There's not really any trace of this movie online.
50% audience score, though.
Okay.
Well, the copy we watched was like a screener.
Yeah.
And it kept saying, hey, don't sell this or anything.
I bought it on eBay.
And on the back of the box, it gives you a deal if you buy 2 copies of the film. Like, somebody's going to be so blown away by this movie.
This is how it used to work, man, at the video stores, right? You get the screeners, you purchase in bulk, a better deal with however many you get. Yeah,
or even like award ceremony shit. They send like Oscar screeners out. I doubt this was that.
Yeah.
This probably was like...
It's interesting, though, to think about people paying $100 per VHS back in, like, the mid-90s. I remember I tried to buy Glory Days on VHS when I worked at Hollywood Video. They ordered it for me. When it came in, it was, like, $97. And then I was like, no. And they're like, oh, we'll take care of it. And I think they marked it down to, like, $9.99 or something.
Watching this was, like, just seemed cheap.
I only saw the middle one, but there was what I would think would be like a Red Shoe Diaries feel, which I don't even know that I've seen any of those or many of those.
Well, and it's weird because it's like the man and woman in each story is fairly well known and accomplished.
Yeah, for sure.
To some extent. Some are still at the beginning of their careers, like Kyra Sedgewick. She's not.
And was it Campbell Scott too?
Scott Glenn.
No, in the first one.
Oh, no, it was Matt Dillon.
Jeez. Okay.
Also, Jerry Stiller is in the first one. He's his boxing coach.
Oh, I'm excited to hear about this.
Jared Harris, who was in Fringe, and he was also in Chernobyl.
Mad Men.
Yeah. He's in there. He's like super young.
He's usually a tragic character in like everything he's in.
Well, had this have been anything worth note, I'm sure they probably, if they had time to get to that. That's where it seems like it was going for Matt Dillon's character. And then Jared Harris's girlfriend, a young Jane Krakowski.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then it looked like the dude that Matt Dillon was boxing in the beginning was Bill Paxton, but apparently it wasn't.
Yeah, they would have credited.
He would have been like far too well known at this point to just be a no-name boxer. It's a stupid movie.
When did this thing come out? Is this
93?
It's listed before Article 99, so it's got to be 92,
Oh, then it must be, yeah.
1991.
So the first one is called Return to Kansas City. Basically, Matt Dillon's a up-and-coming boxer. He's not like accomplished or anything. He's got a career ahead of him, but he's also being incredibly careful. And his wife is complaining, she's all dressed up for the fight. And Jerry Stiller's like, you should fight Jared Harris's guy, and because he's another boxer. And he's like, nah, I'm not ready for that. And Jared Harris comes back with Jane Krakowski, and he's like, eyeballing them, and why don't you come to the club that we're going to sometime? Somebody's a cook there or something.
That's how Jared Harris is talking?
Yeah.
He's doing an accent?
Yeah, but you could tell he's still Jared Harris in there. He looks super young. It's weird. Kyra Sedgewick was like, yeah, how about tonight? Matt Dillon's like, nah, we got a thing. So they leave, go home. And the weird part is when they get home, their baby's just in the crib.
Oh, they left their fucking baby alone?
Yeah, being watched by the next door neighbor. So he yells out the window, hey, Mrs. Whatever, we're home. Oh, okay.
She just comes over at the baby screaming?
Apparently. And Matt Dillon actually comments on that. He's like, no, what if she's hurt? I mean, is this the best thing? And she goes, well, can't afford a real sitter. And she cries, she'll come over. Yeah, but babies don't always cry when they're hurt. Well, what do you, How old's the baby? I mean, it's in diapers and in a crib, so probably 1, 2 maybe.
Shit, dude. I mean, if you were like 6 months old,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, all right, it's probably pretty safe in there.
Mm-hmm.
But man, 2's like there might be a bust out, a sneak out. 2,
Mm-hmm.
2's trouble. Even like 1.5, I feel like could be trouble.
I mean, yeah, say that, I don't know, something weird happens and it starts choking, or
Yeah.
you're not going to hear that shit.
No.
And so the basic premise is that they came from Kansas City, and all of her family and friends are there. She's incredibly lonely. She can't make friends in New York.
They don't have any money, it sounds like.
He makes some money. He made like $300 on that fight, but he only made $260 because 40 of it went to pay for the dress that she was wearing, that he got.
What the fuck is she wearing a $40 dress for? And you said the 40s?
39. Like they mentioned Chancellor Hitler on the radio.
I don't know that those numbers make sense. $40.
No.
Is it made of pearls?
He said to pay off the dress, which suggests to me that there was an initial payment or down payment of some sort to secure it on like some sort of a layaway program or something, pre-credit, It seems awfully expensive, and so she's complaining because he trains all day and he doesn't have sex for a few weeks when he's getting ready to fight, and he sleeps all day, and and she's like, you're ready to fight Jared Harris? And he's like, I don't want to end up in the hospital. That guy is like concrete and springs, you know what I mean? Nothing good comes from it. I don't want to get hurt for nothing. Oh, I'm nothing. I want to go back to Kansas City. Well, you were just there and you bribed presents for everyone. And she's like, well, I was talking to Jerry Stiller and he said that he can get you $1,000. So he's like, you know what?
Man, you really see where this is going.
Yeah, she's fucking riding him hard.
Yeah.
And so finally he's like, you know what? Maybe I can get $1,200. I guess. And I can go to Kansas City. I won't buy so many gifts, just for the immediate family.
This lady's bad news.
And she walks off with the baby to go out on a walk, and he just sits there trying to eat his steak, drink his coffee while he's probably, contemplating all of the dread that might come from, fighting I'm assuming he's like either a dirty fighter or he just decimates you with a punch.
So you get brain damage or
broken eye or some shit.
You can't box anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to blow your entire income on a stupid match.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And she spends all of her nights like listening to the radio because it broadcasts from New York and then it goes to like Chicago and all across the country and ends up in like San Francisco or something. So she's just like got her head in the fucking clouds, man. And
she's an asshole. She's just spending the money on nothing too. Hey man, get yourself killed boxing. I want to buy nothing. I'm going to buy some clouds.
So then it jumps to Ray Liotta's bit.
Wait, that's it? It ends with him eating the steak and drinking coffee?
Yeah.
With his doom ahead of him?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no anything.
Holy fuck. This is what happens in the next one. This is every single one of them?
I had a moment of dread going into the third one where I was like, oh no, is it going to come back to each one and resolve them?
That would have been, you didn't want that to happen?
If it had, I would have watched it and that probably would have been far better. It just seems like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
You're getting a glimpse into this one minute moment. It's somewhat important, I guess, if he's at risk of being injured. But if he does get injured, she'll probably leave him.
Yeah, it's just nothing. He's going to be half disabled, working a dock or sweeping a sidewalk somewhere, living in squalor. You can tell that they're patting themselves on the back making these as though they are important vignettes that really are offering you up some truth.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're trying to do like a Raymond Carver type thing. They're slight. I keep saying that as though I've seen them all. But based on what you're telling me and the one that I did watch, almost no substance at all.
And Ray Liotta's almost even more so. Because at least with this boxing one, there's ancillary characters that are kind of, Jerry Stiller, Jared Harris and Jane Krakowski all are great. So then we get to the Ray Liotta one and he's like an ad man. And there's really nobody else of note in this one. It's just Ray Liotta and Andie McDowell, except the actor Paul Lazar is apparently one of the ad men also. He played the doctor in the Korean movie The Host. He was also in Silence of the Lambs, Philadelphia. He kind of looks like the guy from I Think You Should Leave, that Netflix.
The main guy?
Yeah, Tom Robinson? What is it? Tim Robinson? Yeah. He looks just like that guy. Lazar. Paul Lazar.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I remember seeing him in there. He's always a little cross-eyed.
Yep, one's shooting out. He's always a dope or something.
I feel bad for Tim for you comparing him to him.
That show is fantastic.
It's real good.
But then you saw in the trash a receipt from Home Depot for a toilet the exact same size as yours, but with a joke hole that's just for farts.
Okay, so back to Liotta.
Yep. So he's watching the clock in this ad meeting, and his secretary's like, now's the time or whatever. And they ask him for his opinion on renaming some product. And he's like, I gotta go. sorry, everybody. And then he leaves the door open when he leaves. It's like, dude, we're in a meeting. Close the fucking door.
Where you at, Liotta? Come on.
So he jumps on the train, and then I think he jumps on the bus, and then he finally finds a kid glove outside their house, and there's a scream. So he runs in the house.
He's scared. He's worried.
What the hell? You're right, because we come find out why. But
yeah.
And it's just his 2 kids. He's got a young kid, daughter, who's probably like 3, 2. I don't know. And then a boy who's probably like 6.
Yeah,
5.
I'm struggling to remember, but I don't know that she might be between 3 and 4. He seems like he's around 6, 5. 6.
Yeah, she's walking and talking, and he's got a mind.
These are not So also, I love the wonderful detail of a VHS where you're like, I can see that they're messing around with stuff. I feel like it's Christmas stuff, but I can't make out any fucking details on my nice TV because it's a VHS cassette.
Yeah. They're playing with like strings of lights, and she's got some tinsel ornament or something. And
part of the tree, or no? It's the long tree.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
And so Ray Liotta, he's like, where's the babysitter? And Mom sends her home early on Thursdays. Oh, well, where's Mommy? She's upstairs. Well, we should probably get you some dinner to the... No, Mom made us dinner. It's
spicy toast.
Spicy toast, yeah.
God damn. I was having trouble understanding that child. And I was like, I think he said spicy toast.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really thinking about that for a little bit until they reveal what was up with that spicy toast.
Well, it was supposed to be cinnamon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he bites it. Ugh, what the hell? And he looks and, the cayenne pepper, which I didn't realize was a thing for the people in the 50s.
To use cayenne?
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the only way you're getting any spice.
I guess, but considering how, like, spice-averse a lot of Americans are.
I feel like they always like chili.
I suppose. It's also not Christmas.
No, it's July?
I think
it's April, because Easter's coming. He
right.
says the Easter Bunny's on his way.
It was a nice thing. He told the kid, hey, son, you're not supposed to be playing with outlets. And then the daughter, when she gets up, she trips and falls. And he runs in all like, like real doting, and it's tender.
This is so fucked up. I was so disturbed by this. Like, we're going to discover that the wife is just upstairs in her room. Her kids are by themselves in the living room. She's not only on a different floor, but she's behind a closed door. Drunk.
Yeah.
Fucking, you're not going to hear anything.
Apparently not the daughter screaming.
No.
Which he heard from outside, right? So he's like, well, hang on. I'm going to make dinner, but I'm going to run upstairs and check on Mommy. And he opens up the door, and she's got a glass of sherry, and she, like, tucks a magazine behind her.
Uh-huh.
What do you think that was? Like, Play Dude?
Do you think so? No, I don't think
Monster
so.
Wangs? I don't know.
I don't think there was male nudity back then. Like,
No, probably not.
You'd need, like, secret stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if it's in the 50s, like, Playboy's, like, just getting off the ground, and that didn't have a lot of nudity.
No, and there's that show Minx on HBO where they're making the first dick-filled magazine. That's in, like, the 70s.
Called Minx?
Maybe.
Interesting. Oh. So it's Andie McDowell.
She's hiding her sherry.
Yep.
She hit her magazine.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck it would be. Maybe it's a Playboy.
Maybe she's
looking at some titties.
Didn't want it to seem like she's doing nothing.
Play it off like you were doing something.
Because she puts the drink down on the floor, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And she's just like accusatorial, like out the gate. I don't think she accuses him of trying to get with the babysitter upstairs. I think it's down in the kitchen with the kids. Basically, she's like, I'm going to come down and make dinner. And they're kind of fighting a little bit. And he's just like, I tell you what, you just hang out up here. I'm going to go make dinner. I'll bring it up. We can have a nice, relaxed dinner together. And she's just like not having it. So he goes down and he starts frying up some pork chops. And she pulls out her hidden stash.
Yeah, I liked it when you heard the bottle clink around in that
hat box.
A sewing hat box under her bed.
Yeah.
And that's not, is that their room or is that like another room?
I think it's their room. She said she was drinking sherry. That kind of felt more like a brandy bottle.
Okay. She just kept
like
going on about her afternoon sherry.
She did.
I like to have an afternoon sherry.
I had one, she says. And then a few minutes later, she goes,
I have a couple of sherries in the afternoon, and you're trying to make me out a drunkard.
One would probably be fine.
Yeah.
You might be a little silly and probably get a little sleepy.
Yeah.
One would be fine.
I don't know the alcohol content of sherry.
16 to 18%.
I mean, it's like a cooking wine, right? So it's, so he's down there cooking and shit, and she comes down, and he's talking to the boy about his tooth, because he's having trouble eating, right? Because he's got a loose tooth, and he goes into the whole tooth tree thing, which was kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
Like there's a tree that's going to grow inside of you and basically kill you.
But wasn't there like a cute ending to that story where it made sense? I don't recall
remember.
it, but I felt like there was a cute capper to it where it made it less horrifying.
Possibly. But then the mom comes in and she's like, are you trying to turn the kids against me? And you trying to fuck the babysitter? That's why I sent her home.
What did Dad say to you? What did Daddy tell you?
Yeah, and he's like, the tooth tree? The what? The tooth tree? And she starts to like feel bad. So basically he's like, take your sister and go upstairs. I'll be up in a little bit. And she sits down and I think she maybe weeps a little bit. And then he puts her to bed, I think.
I think so.
And then he goes to bathe the children, pulls the tooth out of the boy's head, and puts them to bed, and, talk about the tooth fairy a little bit. And the kid's wise to him. He's like, you put the money in there, And he goes and he like cradles his wife a little bit. And then he goes back downstairs to eat, right?
Yep, and that's where he has his visions.
Oh, that's right. That's the weirdest thing in the world, man. So he has a vision of him being escorted to the beach by a cop. And he gets out and he walks over and a bunch of people on the beach crowded and gave way and they pulled the sheet back and it's his 2 dead kids drowned. And, oh no, after he eats, sees that, and then he goes upstairs. Cause I'm like, as he's going upstairs, I'm like,
that's the resolution to it all. Yeah.
Oh no, are they really dead? And he's just living like a weird brain fantasy.
You thought that?
I did.
I guess that would be better than what you get.
Gave the movie far too much credit.
Yeah.
So he goes upstairs, he hugs his wife, and she kisses him a little bit. That's it. Sexy saxophone music.
She's basically passed out. Right?
Yeah. I did forget to mention the name of the guy that did the music for the Return to Kansas City bit. His name was Dick Hyman.
Oh. The music was bad in this, right?
All around. It's very Red Shoe Diaries.
So this is 2 in a row with the worst music you ever fucking heard in your life. We'll get into it after we're done with this video.
And apparently they saw fit to do that to the 3rd segment.
Poor Mike Figgis, yeah.
Yeah, poor Mike Figgis, man.
This... yeah, are we supposed to believe he's going to do anything to protect his children?
No.
No.
The sad part is, back then, I guess I don't know when AA started. It was sometime around there.
1935.
But for the most part, she probably has no real support or help options.
No.
Even if she wanted to get better. There's going to be stigma. They're going to tell him to just have her committed, more than likely.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, he's got all the power in this situation.
Yeah, you can take the drinks out of the house, but I mean...
He could get away with locking her in a room to make her sober up.
Yeah.
Because he's the husband.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to bat an eye at that.
No.
You lock her up in a sanatorium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he seems like a nice guy,
This is the one thing that I like about this segment is I really like Ray Liotta in this.
He's so good.
He's really warm. He seems like a really good dad. His kids are pretty cute too.
Yeah. I was thinking like, are they anybody? But I don't recognize them in more contemporary pictures.
But man, he's really good. I actually... When I was watching Article 99 after this, I just kept thinking, I feel like Ray got cheated hard out of the career. I mean, I'm sure he was happy with his career, but there's a real tenderness. He could have been the co-romantic lead in lots of stuff. He didn't have to be the bad guy. Maybe he really enjoyed it. I don't know. He seemed to he likes to play pretend. I was reading an interview that he gave, but it is kind of a bummer that it does seem like it all police officers and criminals and scary dudes for the most part.
Yeah.
We could be wrong. There's lots of movies coming our way, but
true. Yeah. I mean, so far up to this point, he's played sort of wide selection of characters.
I mean, his first 2 movies, he's a raging lunatic, but after that, Dominic and Eugene.
Yep.
He's like a nice brother.
Fairly tender.
Be a doctor. Article 99 coming up. Nice guy.
He doesn't do his laugh.
No, I was waiting for it.
In this or that, surprisingly. I mean, I guess not surprisingly. When would it have been appropriate?
No. Goodfellas, he's not even a psycho.
No.
Field of Dreams, not at all.
He's just a ghost.
Yeah. An interesting one.
Yeah.
With depth.
Yeah, tormented.
All right, let's do the 3rd one of this giant sack of shit.
The 3rd one, it doesn't have anybody in it that I've recognized.
What? You don't know?
Other than...
Juliette Binoche and Scott Glenn?
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying other than them. Neither did the Ray Liotta one. The Return to Kansas City kind of set me up for the fall. Because I was like, oh shit, there's like 3 other notable people in here. But they don't get anybody else to be in the rest of them. Because there really is no other notable character.
Well, as I rewound it and saw the whole thing in, 3-speed reverse, it seems like it all just takes place at that restaurant.
Kind of, yeah. So, like, it starts off with Juliette Binoche She's in like a tight black dress.
Binoche.
Oh, sure. My bad. Like a super mini skirt and like a long coat. She's a prostitute. She's not just, I would buy her as a call girl, but not like a hooker on the street, which is what she was.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually quite surprised rewinding it and discovering she was a sex worker. But yeah, that real stereotypical short skirt, furry coat.
Yeah, like cars
stumbling along,
driving up, and she's going up like, and I don't speak French.
Is this?
It's in
France?
Paris.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, and it sounds like she's saying basically like 10 cents or some shit. What is a franc? Is that $1?
Oh yeah, because they
Is
switched
franc?
over
Is
to
that
the
what they have
euro,
in Paris?
right? They switched to the euro.
Yeah, it's franc, right?
Yeah.
It sounded like whatever it was fairly cheap and she's banging. In this, she actually looks like Julia Roberts, which was an interesting development.
Juliette Binoche is pretty.
So basically, she's, offering her services and nobody's taking. It's weird. Cars are like pulling up. She's the only one standing there. She does her thing and then they drive off without taking her in.
That's odd because if you're stopping, it's because you're in the market for some action.
And she's the only one standing there.
And she looks great. Does she have sores all over her mouth?
No. And her breasts are heaving. Her skirt is so short that it's like barely covering her
cooch.
All right. Barn door is wide open. I just made that up.
I think that's like the flap on or is that your zipper? Or?
I don't know.
I'm picturing the flap on the back of like some overalls. The barn door. Flippity.
So Scott Glenn's having dinner in like a fancy restaurant, and he goes out to use a payphone, and he's calling some woman that he knows. It's unclear who she is. And he's like, maybe we should get together and talk and have a drink. And he's like, why are you talking like that? Is there somebody there? Oh, there is somebody there. And outside of the phone booth is where Juliette Binoche is. And there's a couple of sex workers that are milling about, eyeballing her. And they pin her up against the window of a store. It's hard to say what they're saying or their intentions are.
There's no subtitles?
There is, but in this part, I'm assuming they're like, why are you on our turf? But at the same time, it's like, she's the only one standing on the street. You guys are across the street. So they slap her a little bit. Scott Glenn comes out like, hey, ladies, come on, get out of here, And they leave. And he's like, are you all right? And it's funny because he's speaking English. And when one of the girls turns to walk away, it actually obfuscates him from the camera. And then there's like ADR of him saying it in French. It was like they couldn't get it during the take, so they shoved it in there a little bit. And so he's like, why don't you come with me and I'll just take you inside this restaurant. And
it's Hardee's. They got a nice hamburger. Get yourself a nice hamburger sandwich.
Yeah, it's upscale.
Yeah.
Hardee's. Steamed clams.
You call hamburgers steamed hams?
Yes.
And so they go in and they're just chatting, and she's like, what did you eat? You ate here before? You mentioned that? And he's like, yeah, I had this and it's really good. And I had dessert and it was fantastic. And he's like, you seem hungry. Let me buy you a meal. She's like, well, okay, but we can find somewhere much cheaper than this. And he's like, doesn't matter. I just sold a thing. I got some money I want to spend. So she's like, well, I got to go meet a guy around the corner. He's like, well, I'll wait. If you don't come back, no hard feelings. So he has a drink and she comes back and the maitre d's like, oh, and she scuttles past him. And basically he's like, well, let's just, go somewhere else then. So they go to a club, they're having some food, and he gets up to go talk to a guy that he notices who does like the va-va-voom lady figure shape with his hands, because he looks...
About Juliette Binoche?
Yeah.
To him?
To Scott Glenn. He's facing like, you would be the guy and I'm Scott Glenn and she's here. So he sees him and he goes, oh, I'm going to go talk to a friend real quick.
He knows him.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
So he goes over and talk to him and this lady that he's with. We don't hear the conversation. While she's sitting there eating, she notices a young group of people at an adjacent booth. And the one guy looks like he's from like Flock of Seagulls. He's like staring at her intensely. And she's kind of looking away, and then she's like looking at him, and now she's like looking at him, and he like does like a weird nod. And we cut back to Scott Glenn, who looks over, and the young guy is talking to her at the table. And he leaves, and she turns around and catches him looking at her, and he looks away, and he comes back, and he's like, well, you know what? I'm getting kind of tired. Maybe I should just get out of here. And she's like, it's okay. You don't have to pretend, he'll wait, basically. And he's like, okay, and so then they stumble out of there seemingly like drunk, although it didn't really seem like they were drunk up to that point. And it seems like they want to bang. So he's taking her.
Scott Glenn and Juliette Binoche?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're walking down the street, presumably to go to his house or hotel or whatever. They pass an alley. She stops him and drags him into the alley, and they start like making out. and it's real awkward. Eventually he stops and he looks over his shoulder and there's like an old man like looking out the window and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go. She pulls him in, I think, for a little bit more of a kiss, and eventually he just like puts a bunch of money in her hand and he's like, good luck, I'll see you later, and he starts walking away, and she's like fall down drunk at this point and he's like stumbling, and she comes after him like, stop, wait, stop, and she finally gets up to him and she goes, this is too much money. It's too much money.
Too much.
No,
You're so much.
He goes, nah, it's fine, you know. She throws it on the ground and she starts like crying and like cursing at him, and he's like, are you all right? And she's like, just go. And he like walks off, and then she gets up and stumbles back down the dark alley, and then that's the end. I'm like,
man.
What is going on here? Like, I can see if maybe that guy had been able to edit it himself, his vision, and whatever soundtrack he had made for it, that might have helped, but it just sort of devolves into like crap. It's kind of interesting, but I don't know, man. None of these movies make women look good at all. And all of the men are basically like Mr. Good Guys and shit.
Yeah, fuck.
It's weird, man. And then, yeah, the movie ends. Why would you make this? What is the point of this?
I mean, they thought they had powerful short stories to share.
I could see if this was like more of an ongoing anthology, like a Tales from the Crypt or a...
God, can you imagine if there was like 50 episodes of this?
I mean, at least maybe they'd start improving.
No, this is the formula.
I don't understand why is it called Women and Men? I mean, it's about women and men, but why are the women just so bad? And I don't know.
Is it called In Love There Are No Rules?
In Love There Are No Rules, yeah.
But Juliette Binoche and Scott Glenn aren't in love.
She says to him, I love you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She goes, I love you. And I think that's what makes him kind of like snap back. Like, what?
I mean, he's probably the first guy that's treated her nicely in a while.
She says that, you know, you're talking to me nice. And she's like, it was kind of heartbreaking because she's like, a lot of the guys that I go with, they don't even speak.
But I think this is all a fucking fallacy too, man. Because on the night off of a sex worker, they can just be a hot, normal lady that like goes and does stuff and meets normal guys. People, you know, it's not like she's a homeless drug addict, right?
No,
it just seems to be your job.
She says she's from Poland, where she owned and or just ran a nightclub. Some circumstances led her here. I think she might even mention or allude to maybe like a pimp that she has to answer to, but I don't know, man. Like, I think it's accurate in that a lot of the times when people are in bad situations, specifically like if she's caught in the cycle of being a sex worker against her better judgment or longer term goals and wishes, it's hard to break that if the pimp is controlling her.
Well, I think that most of the time the problem with the pimps is they take most of the money. Well,
that, and, you know, they either drug them or abuse them into a state of like codependency and all of that shit. But so it's accurate that she's not working him, but it does kind of come back to that a little bit. But then, yeah, when she's like, I love you, you know, it's, I don't know. Is it real? Is it, I mean, not, you know,
it seems like he just saw a pretty lady with an interesting story that wanted to have dinner with. He didn't have anybody to have dinner with. Hey,
I guess
you seem cool. Let's do this.
Because his woman is moving on and he was in a vulnerable state.
Yeah, I think it makes total sense. And then, yeah, let's go do something else. It's not really working out at this restaurant. I'm sure they were hitting it off a little bit. But yeah, I mean, to see her business lurking around the corners like that guy at the club, yeah, that ruins things. You know?
It does, yeah. Because no matter how the night ends, she's already basically said, I'm going to be doing this.
Yeah. It's like, take a night off. You're out.
Take a Julia Roberts moment.
Pretty Woman.
Maybe he'll snap your finger in a jewelry case.
Does it look okay?
Something's missing.
Well, nothing else is going to fit into this dress, I'll tell you that. Oh!
I've never seen Pretty Woman.
Me either.
I'm not going to pick it for our wild card, but I think maybe we should each watch Pretty Woman.
I might someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might do that soon. Do you have any more notes about this piece of shit?
That's it, man. Dick Hyman. That's really all I wanted to put out there.
Yeah, movie. I really liked Ray. Okay, let's go to scores. Movie, your rating.
The overall score for the entire film, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.
Really?
It's a few small, interesting things in there. And the actors, of course, I like them all for the most part. So
I can't do the overall movie, but for the Liotta segment, I'll give it a 4.
it's elevated by Liotta
Really?
and Andie McDowell to some extent. But
So what's your Liotta score?
solid performance, man. I'm going to give him an 8.
Fuck yeah. I'm going to give him an 8 too.
Multifaceted, did far more than he needed to.
So warm and loving.
Yeah.
He just exudes warmth. It's so different than Goodfellas.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely different than the first 2 Psycho roles.
Yeah, and there's just so many small moments with him and the children.
He's so good with them.
Textbook dad stuff, man.
Hey, what do you want to give Andie McDowell in that?
She was good. Far better. Kyra Sedgewick wasn't really all that great. And Juliette Binoche was good, but I think the material was just far beneath her. But Andie McDowell, I'm going to give her a 6.
Okay. I'll give her a 6 too. Good old Andie. Okay.
Yeah.
So that takes care of Women and Men too.
So that's it.
Yeah.
We doing filmographies.
We doing filmographies.
We on Instagram.
Facebook,
yep.
YouTube, all the same thing. We doing filmographies.
Yeah. If you're looking for us on Twitter,
Do
filmographies.
We're on Reddit too. And you know what? You can email us.
Mm-hmm.
We doing filmographies at gmail.com.
Yeah.
But
you looking up the phone number?
yeah.
Yeah.
Were you doing that too?
No, I was taking a picture of you.
I thought so. Give us a call, 763-634-1897. That's right. It's the hotline. Leave a voicemail, 763-634-1897.
Yeah.
All right. Join us next week for
Article 99. And I'm out.
We Doing Filmographies is a part of the Now Playing Network. Visit nowplayingnetwork.net to listen to podcasts such as Movie Madness, Chicago film critic Eric Childress's movie review podcast. You want to hear some reviews on some more recent movies? Eric Childress has got you covered. Visit nowplayingnetwork.net.
Matt Dillon, Kyra Sedgewick, Ray Liotta, Andie McDowell, Scott Glenn, and Juliette Binoche in the more powerful and more passionate Women and Men 2.